right, Melanated Media News, where alternative independent thinking is as simple as breathing. Now, long story short, watch this video in its entirety, very important. We know the Starbucks controversy that has been going on recently, but April 2014, 4 years ago, this gentleman was killed, Dontre Hamilton, for sitting at a park waiting for his brother to pick him up, and a Starbucks employee called the police. I'm gonna show you his mother explaining what happened, and the Starbucks employee actually called the police cell phone directly on him, and it resulted in him being shot 14 times. And nothing has really happened with this story. She's been fighting it for years, and the story got swept under the rug. The family met with Howard Schultz, who was still the CEO at the time, and they were saying they felt he didn't care. He didn't really show the compassion. That's what his brother Nate Hamilton said. So watch the video, and we're going to talk really more in depth on these 311 non-emergency calls that are really taking over and really taking the lives of young black people across the country. So stay tuned. Watch the entire video. Very informative video on a story of Starbucks. And the family is basically saying that the racial discrimination training should have been done years ago. So stay tuned for more Melanated Media News. Also, we interviewed her. This video is basically clips from this video from 2016, November 4th, with Eric Garner's mother, Tamir Rice's mother, Angelo Miller's mother, were speaking, discussing these issues from 2 years ago. So stay tuned, watch the entire video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and subscribe for more content. Melanated Media News. Stay tuned.
I will for 34 years. I worked for the state of Wisconsin. And it wasn't nothing I could do to keep my child from going to that park that day. Like, he rightfully had the opportunity, he rightfully was a citizen, to sit in a public park for an hour and a half, not bothering nobody. I've had white people walk up to me and say, he was so polite. This lady said she stumbled stepping off the curb, and he caught her and asked her if she was okay, and stood there with her until she got her balance. She walked away, and he told her, "Ma'am, have a good day," and smiled at her. That probably was the last human being that my child had conversation with before he went and sat on the ground by that statue in Red Arrow Park. Starbucks manager decided that she didn't want him in front of a stand that they had outside. It was during rush hour where kids was getting let out of class. Different people was leaving City Hall and, was coming over there to get coffee, and he's sitting there. Well, actually, Dontre had on $200 pair of Jabos, some Jordans, a $80 t-shirt, and a Sean John jacket that I bought. So it wasn't like he looked at that, he was clean cut. I didn't even have to get him a haircut when I buried him, because he always had a fresh cut. But he bothered her just because he was there. Police came out, talked to him, talked to her. He's not doing anything wrong. He has every right to be in this park. We're not going to make him leave. But my son had told one of the police officers, well, I live a ways away from here. I was downtown. My brother lived closer to downtown, and he's on his way in from work. So he was waiting on his brother, which we didn't know until after he had died, that he had just had a 15-minute conversation with his brother on the phone while he was on the highway. She got into an argument with some of the employees And the young girl that she was arguing with, she told her to punch out and go home. Because she was like, why are you so fixated on this young man sitting in the park? And she was like, mind your own business, go punch out, blah, 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 call the police again. Same 2 police officers came out. One of them talked to her, and the other one just stood there in the park to see if any of the other patrons had anything to say about Dontre being in the park. And he told her, mind your own business. Leave him alone. I'm not going to make him leave. Christopher Manning is a beat cop. Been on the force 13 years. He has 17 internal reviews done on him. He has 7 community complaints. Never been disciplined. And she called him because he gave them his telephone number. If they wanted somebody removed from their business, he was the man to do it. So she called him, left him a message, told him she wanted the suspect to be removed. 45 minutes later, he checked his voicemail, found out his friend had called dispatch. It had been cleared. He told dispatch to put a suspect in Red Arrow Park so I can go and deal with the matter. They told him, you need to call your sergeant. And he said, just do it, I'm on my way. He didn't call for backup. He entered the park. My son was still sitting there. He snuck up behind him. He said, in his statement, he said he held his keys so he wouldn't hear his keys. But once he walked up to Dontre and Dontre looked up at him, he said that Dontre looked like a monster. He felt threatened. So he took him out of a non-threatening position, laying down, stood him up, and resumed to do a Terry pat down. And when he started patting my son around his waist down by his private part, my son put his arms down. And Christopher Manning struck him 8 times in his head, on his shoulders, in his chest, and the back of his head. And Dontre took the baton from him. He said, you effing want to play, took 10 steps back, and he put 14 bullets in him. And this happened in less than a minute and 32 seconds. Dontre's thumb was shot off. Dontre was shot point blank in his back. The coroner said any one of them bullets could have killed him. Christopher Manning was fired 6 months later for doing an illegal pat down on Dontre and for breaking policies. A year later, they gave him $70,000 a year for disabilities because his chief, 48 hours before he fired him, he had to tell him he was fired so he could go to the police union and apply for disability. They gave him a whole year of back pay. And the city had 6 years ago dropped the insurance because it was too high. Because they was having so many people suing the city. So it got too expensive for the budget for them to cover it. So we as taxpayers are actually paying all these lawsuits. 7 days before Dontre was killed, Scott Walker signed the bill. It's called the Michael Bell Law. The Michael Bell Law was implemented so police wouldn't do the investigations themselves and we would get a special prosecutor. Dontre died 2014, April 30. And Milwaukee police officers and other surrounding counties are still doing their own investigation. All other police officers at the Justice Department that oversee the investigation, they ask Milwaukee Police Department, police officers that are getting pension money from the city. So, they're breaking the law. The governor can't do anything. I sat and talked with him and his wife yesterday for 2 hours. There's nothing he can do. Okay, if there's nothing you can do, and they get state funding, they get federal funding, where do we go? I got no indictment on local, state, or federal. Hillary Clinton actually went to Loretta and asked her, because I waited 10 months, after I waited 10 months for the DA to not indict, found out 2 days before Christmas. Then I waited 10 more months. Hillary called her after I went to one of her rallies and shut it down. And I finally got a phone call that she was sending somebody to meet with my family. And they told me they could not prosecute him because they couldn't prove that he killed Dontre with malice. I'm like, are you serious? He put 14 bullets. His gun locked up. He was actually trying to reload. No bruises. Then they say, well, he feared for his life.
That's the state.
What was your fear? You know, he was like, Dontre was 190 pounds. Dontre was 160 pounds. So if they can articulate, or if they can just say, under the statutes of excessive force, that in their mind, you're a threat, you're dead. It got to stop. It has to stop. Has never in the history of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, been a police officer to go to jail for shooting or murdering anybody. So the Michael Bell law was created so 2 outside entities, agencies, would come in and do the investigation and determine whether or not the police will be charged, and if a special prosecutor needs to come in, because the DA work with these men, they're biased. How do you train somebody that has that in their heart? You can't, ain't no training for that.
That's right.
You know, they need to be evaluated, and if they're sick, take their guns, take their badges, and keep them out of our neighborhood.
That's right.